This is P.O.C. Alright, it's not going to be the cause of headlights. And it's while they're engaging in psychopathic pacing together. So replace this with the fake sun that's aimed on me, rising right here. And what are they all doing? Psychopathic pacing, and that which is not sunlight. And my shadow is moving all over the place, right? All over the wall. That's the Ontario Police, is what you need to understand when you're prosecuting an entity. And I documented all of that. 602 North Euclid Avenue. Those are sex offenders whose license plates, everybody on that property, is published on the video of the internet. And they are all sharing in what is ongoing gang stalking to date on another day after being documented as relevant to federal charges. This is sexual violence that's committed as an entity. And headlights are not reaching from that distance, causing a projected upright magnified size of my shadow. And you're looking at all of them, and they're even driving through it, creating light activity over here. And who are that? The gang members. That's the gang members of the Ontario Police. That's what they're doing while the fake sun's right here. And they're driving in, and the shadows of their vehicles are moving across the wall. It's the same pattern of conduct. 602 North Euclid Avenue with the Ontario Police Department. P.O.C. That's the ease with which, the impunity with which the terrorists, the enemies of the United States, the Ontario Police Department engage in and continuously engage in what is terrorism while they are caught. No police department wants to be exposed for that which the Ontario Police have been exposed as. And when you're looking at the evidence, now that they're psychopaths and they can't hide it, now they're being the terrorists that they've been the entire time. And they're doing so as though they don't care about being documented, as though they don't care about the consequences, but they do. You're dealing with psychopaths. You're dealing with psychopaths with high delusional sense of self, ego. And that ego is superseding the well-being of their families, because they're not getting a dime when they're fired. They're being prosecuted as terrorists, and they are permanently done with law enforcement. They're engaging in sexual violence on the roads and the highways. They're doing so while they're engaging in surveillance by literally driving on the roads and the highways because they're monitoring. And what you need to understand is recognizing the pattern. It's the same pattern with the fake sun aimed on me. And you know it's the fake sun because it's still here hours later, where that department is stalking. And they're doing so with the people of the state. Driving doesn't cause engineer light. Artificial lights don't cause this light activity on the ground. And you have the fake moon, which is with regard to what is the environment that's centered on me, where they're all stalking. That's the POC. And the fact that the people of the state are still stalking, that's why you're going to disband the Ontario Police Department. That's why they're going to prison. But the fact that they're still stalking, this is speaking to a national security threat. These are homegrown terrorists. And this is a terrorist system that's underway, a system that's underway in the United States. POC, this is criminal conduct. They're not free to engage in any, and they're going to be prosecuted accordingly. They're not free to engage in being present on the road. You know why? Because the Ontario Police, the state of California, the entity itself has no warrant, no probable cause to engage in surveillance, which is exactly what this is in that engineer light under the fake moon. While they're engaging in what is gang stalking, where they're engaging in criminal monitoring, they're engaging in maintaining that engineer light. While they're keeping you under surveillance, there's no warrant, no probable cause, and no legitimate interest by the government. And they're doing so through the people who have no right under the Constitution. It's public corruption, and it's also that which is conspicuous surveillance, which is an unlawful threat, an unprecedented threat, while they're conspiring your murder. They're totally vulnerable. And they're doing this 24 hours a day. POC. It's 1:09 a.m. Yeah, that's not headlights. Your headlights while you're driving in this direction, and my shadow is moving up, magnified in size, moving in this direction. And as you look at my evidence, you will see varying forms of the light activity while they're engaging in what is substantially similar conduct. Driving, stalking me, molesting me while turning on this street, stalking me, molesting me while driving on this street, stalking me, molesting me while driving in the opposite direction on the opposite side of the street. And you've seen all manner of different forms of the same light activity, but it's occurring in different ways while they're engaging in the same thing. Even though it's not even their headlights, you can analyze the inconsistency with the demon-possessed a conduct of stalking with light. They're going to be diagnosed for this. They're going to be committed with regard to stalking with light as psychopathic conduct. It's mentally ill conduct. In other words, those that are stalking with light, those are serial killers. Those are pedophiles. Those are psychopaths. This is the entity that's engaging in what is very deranged behavior. And the stalking with light conduct is a direct indicator regarding what is a threat to you based on that deranged mindset, that malicious behavior, that criminal conduct that's conspicuously happening in your face that they're gratified by for a criminal purpose. POC. That's impossible light activity. And that's impunity by the entity. Ontario police are still stalking. Understand that through a population, they're being disbanded. Those enemies are done. They're enemies. And so are the people of the state. Removing evidence off the internet, you're going to prison. You're going to prison. And the entity, this is the entity that engages in that, and they're still stalking. You're analyzing the stalker at all times. They're one. These are not individuals. They're together, engaged in surveillance together. They're molesting with light while they're over there. They're molesting with light while they're at 602 North Euclid Avenue. You're not going to blind me with headlights. Your headlights aren't going to swim across that building. These are demons, and it's criminal surveillance, and you're stalking while you want to touch on my body with light. That's a sex offender. The mens rea of a sex offender, a predator, a co-conspirator of murder. And they call themselves a police department. No, they're not, and they're going to be removed so that they cannot engage in what is essentially corrupting the notion of law enforcement. They're criminals. They're gang members. They're demons. They're literally demons. This is P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 1:12 a.m. And what are you recalling? Tracy Banks and the Ontario Police engage in criminal summoning while they're gang stalking. Seconds later, all right, moments later, the ongoing pattern of conduct. They're stalking me by helicopter this morning, psychopathic pacing, and then they're engaging in what is criminal summoning. After removing evidence off the video of the internet where they're keeping this investigation about them under surveillance, unlawful intrusion in a federal case. They are going to prison. For the entity to continuously maintain surveillance is the basis of prison. These are terrorists. This is exposing what are homegrown terrorists, and this is the entity that's actually engaged in murder. They're not investigating criminal conduct that they engage in, that they commit. The police aren't investigating them. The police are acting with them. This is a surveillance system. They know what's going on. That's what's relevant behind stalking with light. It's conduct that is predatory. It's conduct that's in furtherance of surveillance while they're monitoring to commit murder. That is very much the entity that engages in that is speaking to a threat to the public, a threat with regard to harming people. They're doing that, remember, while I'm documenting it. So you're preying upon, you're stalking and attacking and targeting someone that knows about it, and it does not deter them. They don't stop engaging in it. In fact, the documentation shows that they engage in it more. That's exactly what the Ontario Police Department did in this video. This is P.O.C. It is 1:13 a.m. at 537 North Euclid Avenue. P.O.C.